Fine, great, thank you.
Yeah. Good, yeah. Good.
It was a nice acting job.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you prepared for the Academy Awards?
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice, we'll be making our votes.
Exactly. Okay. You spent a very intense time on the set. Could you simulate or find a performance for yourself as friends?
How could we find? Sorry, could we find a relationship between us as friends as well?
No.
No, not really.
No.
It's very awkward.
I've ever had.
To be honest,
Really, really bad.
This is difficult.
This is terrible.
No, it's all right.
It was good. It was good. It was. I hadn't known George before we started filming this film, but you know, yeah. I mean, we spent a lot of time together. You know, from day one. You know, the 6 months before we started the rehearsals. You know, we was spending every second really with each other and just sort of mucking in and just learning about each other. Yeah, yeah, it was a pleasure. With this fella.
No, I feel exactly the same. We spent a lot of time together, and it was a real privilege working with Dean. And you know, and he's a good mate. He's good. He's good.
And how did you prepare for the physically exhausting shooting?
We would we did loads of stuff. We did loads of military training. We did lots of physical training. Yeah, because again, it's not like it's not an aesthetic thing. It's just the nature of this journey of this film is that it is all on the move. So we went to the gym together. We went to the military training was pretty physical every day, and then also in rehearsing the scenes, we were kind of getting up to speed with being on our feet. You know, running, crawling, whatever these guys were doing. We were doing that for months before, and that got us in shape for it.
Yeah.
And which kind of research did you do to understand the historic background of your role?
I just looked at as much as I could, really. I watched the Peter Jackson film, They Shall Not Grow Old, which was really good. I read a book called The Western Front Diaries, which are snippets of diary entries of the soldiers. We did research trips together. We went to France and Belgium. We looked at museums. What else did we do? Museums.
There was. I mean, there's books to be read as well. There's a bunch of books. Actually, the one book that Sam said to read that, so actually, like, if it wasn't a kind of historical piece, was All Quiet on the Western Front, and just because it kind of talks about the human experience, and it separates it from being sort of very British. It's not about one side or the other. It's about just being a young man in that world. So there's so much material on the First World War. You could just keep. I mean, people should if they want to. There's so much resources for finding out about it.
Can you imagine a war scenario at your age, or did you have computer games or films in mind when playing?
I never really watched a film in particular for this. Did you?
No.
No. But I mean, that was the thing coming onto this project. I didn't know that much about the First World War before starting this. But that was the thing that really struck me, was how young these men were. I mean, you know, they were, you know, children, really. I mean, and you know, a whole generation just completely wiped out, and they sacrificed everything for everything they did. And you know, coming onto the project, I was just filled with so much wonder of like how they actually must have felt and what the hell they were thinking. I mean, heroes.
And what problems did the camera process bring with you to make everything look as if it's one shot?
I wouldn't say there weren't necessarily problems, but I think Sam and Roger always, you know, Roger the director of photography and Sam our director, like, it was always about putting the story first, and any problems that came about, it was kind of going, how can we first putting in place the blocking and the story and the action first, and then kind of never compromising that with, you know, can we fit a camera in there, solving that problem afterwards. And so some of the time, you know, that would mean like kind of moving as you went. There's one scene particularly where the camera was moving in such a tight space, and there was a cupboard that was in the way, and one drawer of the cupboard, and they actually as the camera was going through, they then had a hole in the wall that they would remove the bottom drawer of the cupboard so that the camera could get through just in the right space of time and then pop it back again. So it was like, it was lovely because you had all the technical gear, but then you also had all these kind of just like kind of almost like simple magic tricks, yeah, you know, sleight of hand.
Did you find a way to relax on a set?
Do you know what? We never. Well, did you?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I was about to kind of similar to what you said. I said dates. No. It was, yeah, we didn't really stop. It wasn't like it kind of like a negative stress, but there was never really a break in focus, you know, because as Dean was saying earlier, if we weren't shooting, we were rehearsing, and so we were kind of constantly working on a cycle of the work, and that was a positive thing, but it was always about trying to achieve that scene, that shot, and the story. So it was, we had a great time because we enjoyed the work, but it was sort of all about the work when we were there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.